Hi, Dr. Paul Haider here. What is a true spiritual experience? That's a great big question. Most people don't have the skies open up and a big booming voice come to them anymore. It doesn't happen nowadays. Uh, but it can happen in very small ways. A person can be out in nature and all of a sudden have this feeling of love that overwhelms them and they start to cry. They can be in a place of great chaos and all of a sudden feel a lot of peace. Maybe they're at a concert and all of a sudden there's just this sense of peace that comes over them. That's a spiritual experience also. It could be all of a sudden that they see little lines of light moving around, and I've had that happen to me, and there's a great sense of, well, I'm being washed over by somebody. It could be a voice that comes. Yeah, I've had that happen to a lot of different people. And it's not a voice within ourselves because the answer is kind of out of the blue. We weren't expecting it. It would be like if you're angry at somebody and then all of a sudden this voice comes and says, love them for who they are. And that was like, so that type of thing is also a spiritual experience because that deep, loving, knowing God within is speaking directly. And there's also other types of spiritual experiences, maybe something like breath work where you go into a process where you see a whole process of understanding your life and what your life is all about. It could happen in prayer, where all of a sudden during prayer this great peace, a sense of peace comes over a person. And it can happen during meditation. In meditation, a lot of times when we get really connected to ourselves, sometimes you see this great white light that comes. And that white light is all bliss, all love, all encompassing joy. It's hard to describe. Some people call it the great consciousness or the Christ consciousness. That's truly a spiritual experience also. I think that we live in a spiritual experience all the time. But a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to open up to the spiritual experience on a regular basis. I think that we hear that still small voice but ignore it most of the time. And because of that we don't have the spiritual experience that we're looking for. And also when we least expect that the spiritual experience will show up. And we keep searching and looking, it really doesn't happen. It just all of a sudden comes out of the blue. So it's really important to kind of let go of the searching and just be in the here and now with all love that's around us. This loving kindness, infinite field of love. And that brings me to another point of seeing everything as love and seeing everything as good. That eventually everything has a purpose. We may have a pet and that pet ends up dying, and or even a horse, and we all go back to dust, from dust to dust, and then from that dust we can see that great things happen. Even if they are put into the ground, they nurture the soil, and from there great flowers grow. Everything happens for a reason. But a lot of times if we don't back off and look at it from a very distant perspective, we are so caught up in the details of what's going on that we really get overwhelmed with the emotional process that's happening inside of us. Now, of course we miss that loving dog or that horse or even that person. But at the same time, it's also important to know that this process goes on and consciousness goes on, and even some great people who are able to see on the other side of the veil. We've talked about the fact that, our loved ones are there, even our close animals, and, parrots and dogs and different things are there waiting for us. So to allow ourselves to see the bigger scope of everything and allow ourselves to see that maybe we're just here to learn and open up to these wonderful spiritual experiences that we are having all the time, but are we awakened to them? Allow ourselves to be in connection with our body. What is my body telling me? I have my shoulders way up, I'm all tensed up, and my back is out of whack because I'm all tensed up, and then when you go walking somewhere and you're in silence and all of a sudden you hear this voice say, let those shoulders drop. Let all those back muscles loosen up. Isn't that a true spiritual experience? A lot of people, I had one man in Australia, he's looking for that grand spiritual experience to happen for him, but I really think he's having a little small spiritual experiences happening all the time. And I think every one of you are also having spiritual experiences every single day. I love you.